Hi everyone, let's talk about Masters of Renaissance, the Lorenzo Il Magnifico card game. So I have done a playthrough for this, if you're wondering where it is, it's linked in the description, but I also did one for the original game when it came out, and an overview of the expansion for that when it came out, if you want to check those out. But yeah, I really enjoy Lorenzo Il Magnifico. I made that clear in all of those videos, I hope. It's a fantastic, very, very tight, very, very thinky engine building game where a lot of emphasis is on planning. You have these workers and dice that are rolled that apply to everybody, and depending on which worker you use, it can it is based on that die value, and where you send them can be crucial as to the cards that you're allowed to collect when you're able to run your engine. This is a much, much more stripped down version of it. So I'll get out of the way that I definitely enjoy Masters of Renaissance, but I would say that while the setting and the art style is very similar and still puts you in that world, the game itself is very, very different. You are still, you've still got cards that convert resources into other resources or faith points. The faith track is still there from Lorenzo, but yeah, it's, I suppose, as you shrink down the game and make this just smaller version of it, as you abstract things out, the more and more bits of the theme need to be left behind. But it's, like in Lorenzo, the faith track had the specific punishments that would affect you for the rest of the game if you chose not to, if you chose not to go down that path. And that could be a completely viable thing of, well, I don't care about that punishment, so I'm just gonna take it. Here it's just for points. And it's a nice system, if you get to this point, has everybody else reached a certain point? If not, they're gonna lose a few points, not a massive amount of points. But yeah, it feels like a different game overall, which not a bad thing. I definitely I like the marble gimmick. It's been done with tiles in, like Ulm is a game that I've played where you're sliding things in and out and they determine actions that you take. I really like the way that it works in here. It's a nice little marble thing where you're knocking a marble out and adjusting the available actions for everybody turn by turn, and the little vacuum, I can't think of the name for it, the vacuum form plastic thing that does it is a nice little touch as well. And it's a nice different, I don't really see it in many games outside that. Ulm is the only one that really occurs to me, where you're looking at a row or column and I can get all of these things, and now I'm going to slide this out and the selection is going to be available different for the available selection is going to be different for everybody on future turns. I like that. It's made even better by the limitations on your depot as well. Resources from that action go into your depot, and you can only have 3 different types of resources, and each shelf you can have 1 of one resource, 2 of another, 3 of another, and that is really, really limiting in a nice way, in a different way. But the limits that were imposed on you in Lorenzo, especially in the 2-player game, if one person activated their engine of a certain type, no, you couldn't. The other person couldn't do it that round. But it's nice having that limitation in what you can do in Masters of Renaissance as well, but in a different field. It's nice. You're restricted as well to level 1s first, and then you have to build onto those to level 2s and then level 3s. You are only allowed 7 cards before the game ends as well. So it's a very fast game. But yeah, I would say that's kind of the biggest thing. That's just going in as a fan of Lorenzo Il Magnifico, I don't feel like it gets the exact same feel across to make it like, oh, I like Lorenzo, I will like this. I think it is, it's got the setting and the art and stuff, but it feels quite different to me. And it is a much lighter, much faster game. And I say, while Lorenzo had that kind of focus on planning and trying to form this overarching scheme and how am I going to execute it and what little deviations am I going to have to make on this, Masters of Renaissance is very much kind of, what am I faced with right now? Which cards are available? What resources have I ended up with? You can have these plans going forward, but it will change a lot based on, somebody else takes that card that you needed. What's revealed now? I don't know what's under there. I don't know what opportunity is now available, but now it's in front of me and now I can decide. There's a little bit of planning with the leader cards. They want you to have a certain number of cards of a certain colour. That's a nice little touch, from Lorenzo as well, where you can just discard your card for a faith point as well if you don't particularly want the power. But they're interesting powers as well that you can just get discounts on your cards, or best thing that I like to do is where you can treat the white marbles that are usually useless and you can't use them for any actions, you can treat them as a particular type of resource, and they can give you some more flexibility when taking resources from the market, but can also limit you in a way as well, because you are still restricted by the depot. And so being able to take more resources with one action can be, you know, it cuts both ways. It can be a bad thing as well. But yeah, I think overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. But yeah, I would kind of it's formed this kind of different place, rather than saying like I just done Pandemic and Pandemic the Cure, and they, you know, it feels like this little this different version of the same thing, or say Castles of Burgundy, the card game or dice game. It's definitely still got that's whatever essential thing is the Castles of Burgundy is in those smaller versions as well. But yeah, Masters of Renaissance, yeah, the more I think about it and play it, it seems like its own thing to me. And I guess that's going to be up to you to decide from the playthrough, rather than anything that I think about whether it would be for you. That's Masters of Renaissance, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye.